So Cradle of Filth is about to release your new album, your 14th, right? The Screaming of the Valkyries. That's a great title. Via Napalm Records. After all these albums released and many years on the road, does it still feel like give you butterflies in the stomach to have a new release out?
Yeah, I think so. If only for the fact I'm worrying about whether someone's going to leak it. But no, it does. It's a monumental occasion releasing an album, and if AI can be averted, it's a lengthy process. You know, from when you start initially coming up with ideas from the very inception of the album to the moment it's in people's hands. It's probably 2 years, blood, sweat, and tears. So yeah, obviously by the end of all that, and the fact that you've actually released it to the best of your ability, obviously you're going to be kind of proud of the end result.
So you mentioned AI. So there's all this new music, AI music coming out, and so can you elaborate a little bit about this? I can see that you probably agree with
Well,
me.
I don't. I wouldn't know what it is. All I know is that it's going to be fragments of thousands of other things found on the internet made into something new. And I just saw an interesting meme where someone was saying AI's got it all wrong. You know, I want AI to do my housework and sort my bills out so I can spend my time being creative and doing art. And they said that it's doing that for me and not the cool stuff, the shit stuff that I don't want to do. And that's because it's an easy thing for it to do at the moment. It's not mechanized as such. It's not in the humanoid articulated form as yet. That being said, it probably already is. Because of that, it's losing a soul. Yeah, well, it's just a horrible thing to know that people spend a lot of time doing can be just replaced with this imposter. Because essentially that is what it is. It's an imposter.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So we can dive a little bit into the album now, please. When I first saw the title, I thought to myself, oh, great, maybe this will be a concept album, but of course it isn't. And it's all for the best too, because it's fantastic, right? So do you think that your fans kind of have that kind of expectation from Cradle of Filth, like, ooh, maybe this is another concept album?
Of course, yeah. It's much like King Diamond. Everybody expects his next work to be a concept. And I think with a concept record, you're going to sacrifice catchiness and songwriting over the out, because the tricky thing is a story, and you'd have to be fucking genius and a genius to write a story with 10 hit singles. It just wouldn't work because it's just when you write catchy songs, you're immediately, cutting down on the verbosity, cutting down on the amount of words you can use to write this story. So we've done 4 or 5, I think, in the past. Yeah, we may do another one in the future, but at the moment, modus operandi, the reason behind this record, the driving force was to write just a great record of memorable songs, albeit if they're extreme metal or not. We just wanted to deliver as most people used to do. Here's our album. There's no special edition. I mean, last time we did a special edition, everybody was moaning it was too long. It was like, of course it's going to be too long. It's 2 songs extra. So yeah, we just wanted to do that with none of the sort of intro or interlude stuff, just 9 very strong songs.
It does work. It's very effective. Since I got the album, I listened to it many times. I couldn't stop listening to it. It's that good. It's no fillers, right? All killers, no fillers. So yeah, so the Screaming of the Valkyries, the story of this album began last year with the release of the single Malignant Perfection, right before Halloween. So I gotta tell you that it went right into my Halloween themed playlist because I have one of those. I'm one of those people. And it's a deliciously erotic song with a music video that brings all those monsters from horror movies and everything. So can you talk a little bit about this inspiration, both for the music and for the music video?
Well, I just wanted to write a song that was kind of a feel-good thing. It's like to live deliciously. It's not dwelling on the horrors of the world as we're prone to do in other places. And there's complete escapism on the album with a couple of songs just about vampirism, because it was giving me old school vibes, the music, when it was presented to me. And this is how I channeled it. Yeah, Malignant Perfection was very catchy. And I wanted to do something that had this, like, say, very upbeat, feel good, but in a very dark way. And to do something that was to make people's Halloween playlists is obviously, what was intended. And also it was coming out around the same time. It had that atmos that it had. I see songs and pictures and like scripts and colors and what have you, and it gave me the vibes of Halloween from the word go. It was kind of engineered so it would come out in time of all the songs, that we are releasing ahead of the album, which is probably three ahead of the album, I think a fourth when the album's out. It seemed the right thing to do. It's very catchy, but it's got a very dark black metal sort of vibe to the middle part. Yeah, it just ticked all the right boxes. And I wanted the video to be, I mean, we actually sent the video back originally. Believe it or not, we filmed our parts in Brno when we were in preparation for a European tour in the summer. And then some of the other stuff was being filmed in LA, and some of the shots were sent to me, some of the footage, and I was like, no, I'm sorry, this is not what we were expecting. And it was a bit tricky, and I feel sorry for the director, but I really pushed him, both the director and the costume designer really pushed him to try and put it in the right space. And although it was a lot of hard work for everybody involved, I think the end result speaks volumes for it, and it's going to stand the test of time. So it's worth the extra effort, I think.
Yeah, and it shows, like, when we see the makeup, because there's a lot of people using CGI nowadays, but you guys went for it with the makeup of the characters, and you can tell that it's a real person wearing real makeup, and it's
yeah. I like practical effects.
Yeah. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So back to the album, the opening track, "To Live Deliciously," the latest single to have come out of the album, right? It's a delightful carpe diem chant of debauchery. That's how I saw it. So yeah, please, can you talk about the song?
It was chosen as a second single because it kind of falls in perfect sequence with the other two singles that are coming out before the album. I mean, people obviously, they have their own favorite on the album, as do I. And it was just the right thing to do at the right time, I think. As you said, it's celebrations, carpe diem. It's about venerating and enjoying life while we have it. I wanted, again, another positive start because obviously the album ends on quite a dark note as well. Everything's doom and gloom. I wanted, to write some reveling in all this, reveling in the magic of what we're creating. Yeah, it's a good contrast to the song that precedes it, Malignant, and the next video, which is probably going to be White Hellebore.
Yeah, so yeah, and that song, to stay on it, "To Live Deliciously," it kind of brings a lot of elements that Cradle of Filth has used over the years, but there's a new element there too, right? It's kind of from the past into the future kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and I think the addition of Donny, Zoe to the band have brought that about. And there's certainly, things are going well in the camp with Zoe marrying Ashok. We just got back from the wedding a couple of weeks ago. That was held in Tucson in Arizona. Had an amazing week out there in cowboy country. So yeah, things are going very well. And we're actually writing another record as we speak. I mean, we've got some time off. I mean, it's not really time off for me. It's not time off anyway, because we're quite prolific in our work rate. While we've got a bit of spare collateral time, we are indulging ourselves in writing, even though the new album isn't even out yet.
Can't really stop, right? It speaks to that thing you were talking about in the beginning, the creation, and something that AI needs someone to press a button to start a creation, but the human mind does not stop. We need to create. It's part of who we are, especially artists like yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's also making hay when the sun shines. At the moment, we have understanding of one another. Everybody's in a very good place within the band and the crew and the periphery that manage all the other people that work around Cradle of Filth. It's taken a while to get to this really good place, and what it does is inspire confidence in being able to do what we do best, which is to create, like you said, and be musicians. And I can just get with them being a singer, and I think while the excitement and bustle and the interaction and commentary on the album is happening, it's kind of fuels you're kind of in the same headspace. Do you know what I mean? In
Mhm.
that headspace still, and we still got some more ideas. Let's go. Yeah, we're indulging and enjoying.
Yeah, that's great. So I gotta ask this question. Okay, so Demagoguery, it's a song that made me think a lot, and I went through the lyrics too. So it's of course very lyrical and poetic, but is it at all an allegory for the current state of affairs in the world that we're going through, especially politically?
Well, yes, I think. I mean, first and foremost, write lyrics and write music as a form of escapism, and I love that heavy metal can do that. You can be so immersed in this world, it really transports you to, a fictional reality. But I like basing mine a little bit, gives it a bit of validity, gives it a bit of bedrock, and take you sometimes from the inane, and sometimes it can be very cheesy. But yeah, you can't help but be influenced by demagoguery. Essentially, is concerns the spread of false information, lies, prejudices to rally nations for causes going on, and now you've got cyber you and yeah, undermining other countries' authority, and it's a way to express dissemination. It's so I kind of liken it to infestation of like demons, a dark force controlling the world through the tongues of serpents. And rather apt. I was going to call the song "The Inauguration of the Snake" at one point, and recently, didn't it?
Yeah, that would have been a great title, by the way. So, Non Omnis Moriar and White Hellebore. So these are songs that evoke a very 19th century kind of Victorian era kind of thing, right? And it's
Which yeah,
all,
which is kind of our thing as well.
yeah, it's kind of your thing, of course, but lyrically, like but it reminded me, especially Non Omnis Moriar. It reminded me of Lord Byron's poems, right? That I used to read a lot when I was younger, and in their imagery, especially, right? This sort of Eros and Thanatos kind of thing, that's death and eroticism, which is very much present throughout your whole discography, right? So this duality of death and love, how important it is for you as an artist.
Well, I think it's the same premise as life and death. It's these juxtaposition of a marriage of opposites that keep the world turning, positive and negative, etc., etc. And yeah, I mean, the subject matter of this song was immediately suggested by the music when it was, when even in its natal stages, it just reminded me, I just instantly thought, this is how it's going to be. This is what it's going to be about. It just didn't seem like it could separate its message from the music. It was so obvious. There are Victorian elements to it because that's kind of a big part of what Cradle is about lyrically and visually, I suppose, is that whole Victoriana and their affiliation with the spirit world, and despite it being an age of industrialism and all these great inventions that paved the way for the world today, they still had a vested interest in the morbid, a morbid curiosity on everything, and that definitely permeates the imagery and the lyricism of the band for sure. I mean, fucking hell, we had that album Cryptoriana, but I mean, literally threaded with ghost songs and its ilk, their ilk.
Yeah, yeah. So now I'll tell you what my favorite track of the album was. It is Ex Sanguine Draculae. So
That's
this
mine too. Mine too. I
it's
have it.
yours
I
too?
have it too here.
Oh, fantastic. So yeah, the lyrics evoked for me very specific scenes from the Francis Ford Coppola's film of Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I don't know if that's what you were talking about when you wrote the song, because it's not just about the book, it's about actual scenes from the film, like that evoked for me in my mind. You know,
Oh well, it wasn't. I mean, I do love that film, but it wasn't based on that movie.
no,
No, but I mean, I can see. I mean, I love the movie for that for the reasons that it's just full of splendor and horror. It's a perfect balance between the two. But yeah, I love the song as well. It's one of the songs on the album that really meanders, and it just had real elements to me of, it doesn't matter how anybody else perceives it. I felt it, and I felt it, this feeling that this music created when we were writing Dusk, when we were writing Cruelty, when we were writing Midian. It's got that kind of same vibe to it. It has a little bit dissection-esque in places. Yeah, and it again, when I heard the song, I was like, this is definitely, this song has vampiric royalty like inscribed all upon it.
It's truly amazing, and there's an energy to it. Of course, all of Cradle of Filth's music is very energetic. You guys managed to be very romantic in that kind of 19th century kind of way that we were talking about before, and at the same time, very bringing the grotesque with beauty to the foreground and a lot of energy in the music, right? And you've done this from the beginning, and you keep on doing it, which is great. I gotta ask about the production of this album. You worked again with Scott Adkins. You've been working with him for a long time now, right?
Yeah. Well, if something works and it works well, why change it, And he's local to me. He's a very good friend. He's a good friend to the rest of the band, but he's got like a bullshit filter. He doesn't suffer fools gladly, and he doesn't suffer, like, he won't mollycoddle you. He won't say, oh yes, this song's great. If he doesn't like it or he thinks it should be changed, he'll tell you. And if I sing something and he's like, and I'm happy with it, but he's, he would tell you if he doesn't like stuff. And it's always good to get his opinion. He helps shape the songs. And every time we begin an album, we look at how we're going to make it different. And that could be through production, try new techniques, new equipment, new styling, and it's just how we can do things different. So that every album is a testament unto itself. That you don't say, oh, look, this album sounds very much like this album or that album. And it's always moving forward, even if there is an evidently strong passing nod to the past. I mean, that's always going to happen and should happen if you've got a strong identity as a band, because you shape that identity to start with, and you can plunder it at will. But no, he excites people when he gets the best out of them. And yeah, I can see us perhaps mixing with someone else just to put it out there and see if we, something different can be obtained. But at the moment, we're really happy with it. And nobody else, if you said to someone, this guy, and just came up with a fucking different name for it, people wouldn't question it. They'd be like, yeah, okay, Ivor Biggin, or whatever his name is. Yeah, he did a great job on your album. Nobody would think, you know what, this such a great job on giving it an official identity. I mean, I love the production on this record. It may be too clear for some people, but fuck it, I mean, there's a lot going on, and in some places not a lot going on, because we've learned where to strip it back to make it breathe.
It's got the right measure of complexity and clarity.
I mean, that's been worked upon,
Yeah,
that was the accident.
Yeah. So, and I hear that Scott Adkins also works with Ed Sheeran, and I cannot not ask this question. You guys have
he worked with Scott, but he produced the song that we did.
Yeah, you guys have a song together, and it's already done, as I understand.
Been done 2 years.
2 years already. Oh my! And do you have a release date for that yet?
No. We didn't want it to overshadow the album, and also Ed's management called us to say that they've got some big plans coming up, and could we not release it in the sort of blast radius of X amount of days, which is that's a normal thing to ask, because otherwise it will encroach upon something they planned for, like press, and they're going to be asked a lot about like that, as we are, talking about an album. We've been asked about something completely different. So we are obviously going to release it, but not quite just yet. It probably see the light of day next year. I mean, it can wait. It's a great song, and I don't think Ed's going anywhere, and we certainly aren't going anywhere. New album coming out. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear that. It's going to be interesting, because you guys do two completely different things, and I want to see those two worlds colliding and creating something completely probably completely new together, right?
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time to talk to Chaoszine. Finnish people love Cradle of Filth. I think people all over the world love you guys. So is there anything you'd like to say to your Finnish fans before we go?
I can't believe how drunk you people get. No, I love playing Finland. We always have a great time there. We're always playing festivals where there's always a lake. I mean, there's thousands of lakes, but it's a tranquil place to play and a lot of fun. Got a lot of good Finnish friends. Yeah, I believe we're playing Finland again this year as well. Yeah, headlining, and I can't remember what the festival's called now. But anyway, love Finland. Zoe's got a lot of family in Finland as well. Probably explains her bloody bleach blonde hair, which isn't bleached, it's a natural color. Just thank you for being continuing fans of Cradle of Filth, and I really hope everybody enjoys the new Cradle album. As I said, there's a single came out last week. The video is forthcoming when it can be finished. Third single and video should be out just in time for the album release on March 21st. Which I think helps the beginning of spring.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I'd like to thank you again for the interview, Dani, and I wish you all the best for your future. Okay?
Thank you. Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thanks very much. Take care.